Hello, I'm Dr. Sam Hancock of the Emerald Planet and EmeraldPlanet TV. We come to you on a week-to-week basis from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we look around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technology, services, and products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And as we have a planet of 9 billion people by 2038 and possibly 12 to 13 billion by the end of this century, how are we going to be able to take care of all these people on planet Earth? And that's what Emerald Planet's all about. We come to you looking at the solutions, the best practices from around the globe as we create the Emerald Planet. Hello, welcome to the Emerald Planet. We're making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And seeing the long-term impacts of climate change. We're glad to have you. Thank you for being with us. Organic living. This is one of the mantras that's happening as we move through the 21st century. People want to get away from the harsh chemical fertilizers, the insecticides, the pesticides, and move more and more to organic fruits, vegetables, and herbs. And Jaya Mafal, she is the president and master gardener for Organic Living. And we're going to be talking about vertical gardening. Now, taking organic living, Jay, and then talk about vertical gardening. What does this vertical gardening really mean?
Well, it basically means that you can grow up as opposed to just down and out. And so we do raised beds, we have tower gardens, which we'll be showing you soon. And it's just a really good way to grow, especially when we're here in Florida, where there's no really good dirt. It's all sand. So this allows us to create wonderful soil and have very healthy plants.
Now, looking at the vertical gardening, this is something that's quite important. Because in many of our urban communities, over 300 legacy cities, many of these yards have been, carbon sumps, collecting the hydrocarbons for decades, even going back into the 1800s, some into earlier than that, as far as the coal-fired heating systems. So why is it so important for good, pure food that people, even in the urban areas, move towards what you call these grow centers and these raised grow beds?
Well, the nice thing about it is when we are growing our own food, we can decide what's going to be in the soil and what's not going to be in the soil, so that we can eat nutrient-dense food, which actually gives us energy, helps us prevent disease, and even reverse disease.
Now, looking at this raised bed, you have this couple that are working on this, a number of different plants. Why do you want different plants in the raised beds themselves?
Well, they all, like you had mentioned earlier, they all have their own things that they give to us. Like they say, eat a rainbow of food. And that means every food that has different colors has different frequencies and nutrients for our bodies.
Yeah, and also too, looking at this, if you look at the depth of this raised bed, there's potential for much nutrients actually in there. So a number of people are actually making these out of the leaves and other mulch. Why is it important to embed in these mulch as well as having good nutrient-dense soil?
Well, we don't want to mix the mulch into the soil because that will pull out the nitrogen that the plants need. But if you put it on top, it'll actually disintegrate and become soil over time.
Now, this is a very large one of these raised bed centers that you have here. So these can actually be very small. sit right on the back stoop, or they can be huge like this one. I think you said this was somewhere around 16 feet long.
Yes.
And when you have something this size, it really gives you a lot of latitude of what you can grow.
Yes, I put a lot of different kinds of plants in there, everything from lettuces to eggplants to tomatoes to cucumbers to just about anything you could imagine.
Hmm. And so, looking at this, there's a mix of plants in here. And
Hmm.
again, going to the mix, does this actually help in the growing cycle? Is this for the pollinators? Or this is just a fact of this is what you prefer to eat and have on your own table? Or is it all three?
It's all three. These are things that my customer actually wanted to eat every day. And there's also, you don't see them farther down, there's some flowers for the pollinators. So it's a combination.
Mhm. Yeah, and this is something we have to really realize. Let's leave this up for just a minute. What are pollinators, Jay?
Well, the bees and the butterflies, they come in to get the nectar and they take the pollen from the flowers and then they go to other flowers and that actually pollinates the second plant so that they can have fruit.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Now, looking at these towers, as you call them, and we'll see different sizes of these and different uses, but it's really an incredible mix of plants in this one grow tower. Why such a mixture?
well, because we need to eat lots of different kinds for flavors and for nutrients.
Now, looking at this tower, this is going to be much more shallow than the grow bed that we saw before. So, how do you need to treat this differently than the grow bed, which has great depth to it, and the root structure can go way down to find its nutrients?
Well, these, we're going to put the nutrients in it and it'll require more watering because it can dry out faster. But it's a very, very good thing for especially herbs because they don't take up as much time and or as space. And the other thing is that, like in the big tower garden or the big raised beds, you can grow tomatoes, which have huge roots, and other things that have deeper roots. And these are good for things that have shorter roots.
Hmm. Hmm. Now, this is looking at a similar kind of tower here. We have one that's really starting as far as the plants are concerned, the other one where the plants are much more mature. So, how long does it take for plants to grow in some of these towers? And how often can the people who are actually planting this begin to harvest the fruit of their labor, so to speak, between having these high grow towers?
Well, the plants are going to start growing right away because we put very nutrient dense stuff in the plant, in the soil, and they will start growing. And I always tell my customers don't cut more than 1/3 of the plant off or you'll kill it.
Mhm, mhm,
So, yeah, as they get bigger, you take off the outside leaves and leave the middle growing, and they'll keep growing.
mhm. And if you're in a place like Florida, the warmer climes, these can grow most of the year. But if you're in the northern climate, you could actually can't you take these inside if you have severe weather conditions in the wintertime?
Yes, yes. And a lot of people who don't have much space in their yard, they can actually put these on their roofs. It's
Hmm.
amazing the roof gardening that's going on.
Hmm. Yeah, this is something that's very popular in Washington, D.C. And my understanding is we have the most per capita green roofs in the United States. Now, looking at this, this is a fantastic photograph of this young lady with her grow tower. And why is her smile so big? What's here that she's so excited about? And this really is something that people, if they have children or grandchildren or nieces, nephews, they could actually start growing their own vegetables and incorporate it in, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, can't they?
Yes, they can. And she was so happy because she had never grown any plants before. And she put this together and it started growing. And she just felt this wonderfulness because she created that,
Yeah.
and it was thriving and she just loved it. And kids who grow their own food eat a lot more fruits and vegetables than kids who don't.
Now that's an interesting correlation. Now, looking at this what I call grow pottery, why is this so important?
Well, a lot of times you can't grow into the soil or you don't, or you have more concrete around or something like that. So if you grow in pottery, then you can still grow a lot of stuff and it's portable too if you move. So it's very good to be able to move things around as well.
Mm-hmm. And also, you can move around for the pollinators. You can move it around for just the changing of the seasons and the
Yes.
colors that you have, or you can put it in again if you're getting severe weather. Of course, you may have hurricanes. You want to move them inside. If you're in the north, maybe the wintertime, you want to move it inside. I thought this was intriguing to have the size and scale of this pottery and the mix again that you have. Talk about this mix and why this mix is so important in order to enhance what you're trying to do, growing your own fresh fruit, vegetables, but also flowers.
Well, the flowers are beautiful and they make you feel happier. A lot of them are edible. And the other plants, there's okra in there, and there's tomatoes, and there's various different kinds of herbs. And what I usually do is I have a lot of herbs, and I go through the garden on a daily basis picking herbs so I could have fresh herbal tea for breakfast.
Mm-hmm. It sounds absolutely delicious. But I think this is a beautiful way for decorating the yards. What is
Yes.
it about the eye appeal of this that many of the people that come for your educational classes really, in essence, fall in love with and would like to have this enhanced around their own homes?
Yeah, they do. I didn't have enough of those to sell any of them, and everybody was always going, "I want these, I want these." And I'm going like, "No, they're mine." But you can put them in different kinds of colors, and you can paint them. You can do all kinds of things with it, but it's
Mm-hmm.
just so people love to create
Mm-hmm.
and make, and enjoy what they create.
Right. I think that's actually important. And we're going to go out on these couple of photographs here. Again, going back to an earlier question, but I'm going to keep asking it. Why is it so important to have the children involved at these ages? And what can they learn for the future? And you have about 40 seconds to answer the question.
Well, they learn to love the plants, they learn how to take care of the plants, and they now have skills for the rest of their life. And then they can teach those skills to their family, their future children, and just have wonderful lives eating fresh, nutrient dense food.
And I think that's really, and we're going to go out on this image here. I think it's very important that we look at the beauty of these gardens. So it's really so many different intangibles that you're bringing to the people when they learn how to grow their own fruits and vegetables and herbs, go out and be able to harvest and have it fresh. And I think the work that you're doing, Jay, is absolutely magnificent. This is Jay McFall, President, Master Gardener of Organic Living. Thank you for being with us as we create the Emerald Planet.